Welcome to Beyond the Smile, the podcast where we dive deep into dental health, nutrition, and everything that makes life more beautiful.
All right, let's talk teeth. More specifically, let's talk about making sure we're not throwing money away when it comes to dental insurance. Today, we're taking a deep dive into a report from Prime Dental Group all about how to make the most of your dental benefits, especially, before the year ends.
Yeah, before we run out of time.
Exactly. Big time. So we're going to try and help you become dental benefits masters so you can avoid those common pitfalls and maybe save yourself some money and keep that smile sparkling.
It's kind of crazy how much money people just leave on the table. This report found that a crazy 60% of people who have dental insurance don't actually use all the benefits they're paying for every year. They end up leaving an average of $350 unused every year.
Whoa. Okay, so let's break this whole use it or lose it thing down. What does that even mean when we're talking about dental insurance?
Most dental plans, they sort of operate on a calendar year system. You got a certain amount of money that you can use for those covered services, right? Okay. And that's called your annual maximum. Usually it's somewhere between $1,000 to $2,000.
Okay.
The catch is, if you don't use it all up by December 31st, poof, it's gone.
Oh, no.
No rollover.
Like Cinderella at night.
Exactly. It's like you're literally throwing away $350 or more, just depending on what your plan is.
Oh, man, I'm already feeling kind of guilty about those cleanings I skipped. Yeah. But, okay, before I spiral, tell me, what exactly does this annual maximum cover? Is it everything?
So it covers a good chunk of your dental costs.
Yeah.
You got to understand, the nitty-gritty of your specific plan. There are different types, like HMOs and PPOs.
Right.
They each have different levels of coverage, in-network versus out-of-network providers. And then on top of that, there are deductibles to think about.
Yeah.
Which is how much you're going to pay out of pocket before your insurance actually kicks in. But here's the good news. Preventive services, those cleanings that you mentioned, they're usually covered 100%, even before you meet your deductible.
Oh, really? So even if I haven't hit that deductible amount, getting my regular checkups and cleanings, those could be completely free.
Bingo.
That's amazing. Okay, it's starting to feel a lot less like I'm just throwing money away.
Exactly. And that's a big reason why this report really emphasizes that preventive care is a financial power play. Think of it like an investment, not just an expense. It's not just about, that sparkly smile.
Yeah.
You could be preventing some major expensive issues down the road.
That makes me think of that saying, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, right? Seems pretty relevant here. But gotta admit, sometimes even going to the dentist just for a cleaning, it feels like a chore.
Oh, yeah.
I bet a lot of people listening can relate to that.
I'm sure.
But what if you told me that there's a bigger reason to prioritize those, maybe seemingly boring checkups? Something beyond just avoiding cavities?
Well, the report actually highlights this fascinating connection between your oral health and your overall well-being. Turns out, there's emerging research suggesting that if you neglect your oral health, you could actually increase your risk for other health problems, things like cardiovascular disease.
Wow.
Even diabetes.
That's a serious connection. I didn't realize it went that deep. It really makes those regular dental visits feel so much more important, not just about a pretty smile, but about potentially protecting, my whole health.
That's the right way to think about it.
Okay, I'm already making a mental note to call and schedule that cleaning I've been putting off.
Good. And speaking of scheduling, this Prime Dental Group report points out a pretty common phenomenon that might make you want to pick up the phone even sooner.
Yeah.
Remember all those unused benefits we talked about?
Yeah, that $350 just sitting there.
Exactly. Well, a lot of people wait till the very end of the year, and then they're scrambling to use those benefits.
Oh, yeah.
And they call this the December dilemma.
Oh, no.
Basically, you finally decide, okay, I'm going to book that cleaning in December, and then you call, and the schedule is packed.
Oh, no. I can already imagine those frantic phone calls trying to get an appointment before those benefits just disappear.
Yep, and that's exactly what happened to this patient named John. His story is actually featured in this report. He kept putting it off, and it ended up costing him hundreds of dollars in unexpected treatment.
Oof. All right, well, John's story is definitely a good reason to avoid that whole December rush. But what about those of us who are, maybe a little intimidated by the whole dental insurance process? I know I've definitely felt lost trying to decipher all the jargon and figure out what's actually covered.
Oh, yeah, it can be a real maze.
Yeah.
But that's why this report tries to debunk some of the common myths that might be holding you back from really maximizing those benefits. Myth number one, and this is a biggie,
Yeah.
that those unused benefits are just going to magically roll over to the next year.
Oh, I think I've definitely fallen for that one. It's tempting to think those benefits are just waiting there for me, but as we've said, that's usually not how it works.
Not at all. Another big misconception is that dental insurance is only worth it if you're getting major work done, like crowns or root canals.
Oh, that's a good one. I've been guilty of thinking, well, I don't need any major work, so why even bother with insurance? But like we've been learning, preventive care can really save you a lot of money and stress down the line.
For sure. And like we said, those preventive visits are often fully covered. Then, of course, there's the myth that you can always just get a last-minute appointment, no problem.
Yeah.
That is so not true, especially in December when everyone's trying to squeeze in before the year ends.
Yeah. So it sounds like being proactive and planning ahead is key. Don't wait till the last minute. Book those appointments early. Prioritize those preventive care visits. And don't be afraid to ask your dentist or your insurance provider any questions that you have.
Yeah, they're there to help.
Yeah.
It's literally their job to make sure you understand these benefits and how to use them.
Right, exactly.
Speaking of using your benefits, the Prime Dental Group report actually has some really great tips for strategic planning. Let's get into those next. One of the coolest things I saw in this report is they talked about thinking of your dental care like a long-term investment portfolio. Instead of just reacting when things go wrong, you can actually be proactive. You can use those benefits to build a healthier smile over time.
I like that investment portfolio analogy. It makes it feel a lot more strategic and less like I'm just checking things off a list. But how do we even go about building this dental portfolio? Where do we start?
Well, the first step, I know we touched on this a bit already, is to really know what your benefits are. Like get out that summary they sent you and really take a good look. See what's covered, any limitations, what your deductible is, and of course that annual maximum, how much you have to play with.
It's kind of like taking inventory before you head to the grocery store, right?
Exactly.
Got to know what you've got, what you need, and what you can afford before you start filling up that cart.
Exactly. So once you've taken stock, it's time to schedule those appointments. Don't wait for something to go wrong. Get those preventive visits on the calendar. They're often fully covered, and they're key to keeping that smile healthy.
Right, and I'm guessing those preventive visits are like the cornerstone of our dental portfolio, so to speak. But what about those times when you need more than just a cleaning? Like what if you need a filling or a crown or something even more extensive?
That's when things can get tricky, but the report has some really smart advice. If you know you have something big coming up, like a crown or a root canal, it might actually make sense to strategize with your dentist on how to use your benefits across 2 calendar years.
Wait, so like schedule part of the treatment in one year and then the rest in the next to maximize those annual maximums?
You got it.
That's some next level dental planning.
Yeah, got to play the long game right. You can work with your dentist to create a plan that works for your needs and your budget. And speaking of budget, there's another powerful tool this report mentions. Flexible spending accounts, or FSAs.
Oh yeah, FSAs. I know those can be a great way to save money on healthcare costs, but to be honest, I've always been a bit intimidated by them. They seem kind of complicated.
Yeah, they can seem a little daunting at first, but the basic idea is that you're setting aside pre-tax dollars from your paycheck to use specifically for healthcare expenses, including dental.
Got it.
And this reduces your taxable income, which is a win. It essentially gives you a bit of a discount on those dental costs.
So it's like getting a bonus for taking care of my teeth. I like that. But I've also heard those FSA funds have a use it or lose it clause similar to the dental benefits we were talking about. Is that true?
Unfortunately, yes. Most FSAs do operate on a use it or lose it basis, although some plans do allow you to roll over a small amount to the next year. That's why it's crucial to really plan carefully and estimate your dental expenses for the year as accurately as possible.
Right. So we don't want to be scrambling in December trying to spend those FSA funds on whitening toothpaste and floss.
Exactly. The key is to coordinate your FSA spending with your overall dental treatment plan. For example, if you know you'll be needing a crown next year, you can adjust your FSA contributions accordingly to cover a portion of that cost.
Okay, wow, we're really putting together a sophisticated dental strategy here. But before we get too carried away with all the planning, let's take a step back to the basics for a minute.
Sure. What did you have in mind?
Well, we've talked a lot about the importance of preventive care. But can we dive a little deeper into the actual benefits of it? Like, what are we really getting out of those regular checkups and cleanings beyond just avoiding cavities?
Great question. The Prime Dental Group report actually has a whole section on this. The multifaceted benefits of preventive care. One of the biggest ones, and often overlooked, is early detection.
Okay, let's unpack that. What does early detection even mean when it comes to dental care?
Think of it like this. Regular checkups are like having a detective on the case, constantly looking for any clues to prevent potential problems. They can catch things like the earliest signs of cavities, gum disease, and even oral cancer. All things that you might not see or even feel yet.
So it's all about catching those issues before they become bigger problems that need more invasive and more expensive treatments.
Exactly. Early detection usually means less invasive treatment. It means a better chance of keeping your natural teeth. And these less invasive treatments, they tend to be quicker, less painful, and yes, you guessed it, less expensive.
That makes me wonder, is there a psychological benefit to early detection too? Like just knowing that your dentist is checking for these potential problems regularly, that must provide some peace of mind, right? Helps reduce the anxiety about those surprise dental emergencies.
You're absolutely right. There's definitely a sense of security and control that comes with being on top of your oral health.
Okay, so we've got early detection, less invasive treatment, peace of mind. What other benefits can we add to this list?
The report also talks about a potential link between good oral health and your overall well-being. Emerging research suggests that a healthy mouth can actually contribute to a healthier body overall.
That's fascinating. We touched on this earlier, but can you elaborate on that connection? Like, how does oral health actually impact our overall well-being?
Well, studies have shown a correlation between poor oral health and a higher risk of certain chronic conditions. Things like cardiovascular disease, diabetes, and even some respiratory infections. While more research is definitely needed to fully understand the exact mechanisms at play, it's clear that the mouth plays a big role in our overall health.
Wow, that's pretty incredible. So it's not just about a dazzling smile, it's about potentially reducing our risk for some serious health issues. Really underscores how important those dental visits are.
For sure. And let's not forget about the simple fact that a healthy mouth just feels good. It gives you confidence, it makes eating and speaking more comfortable, and it contributes to a better quality of life overall.
That all makes me wonder, are there other sneaky myths out there about dental care that are maybe keeping people from really maximizing their benefits and their health?
You know, there are a few that come to mind. One that I hear a lot is that flossing isn't actually necessary.
Oh, yeah. I think we've all been guilty of skipping the floss every now and then. But what's the truth? Is it really that important? So we were talking about flossing, and it's really all it's cracked up to be.
Right.
I'll admit I've definitely been guilty of skipping it sometimes. So what's the real deal?
Here's the thing. Brushing, it cleans the surfaces of your teeth, right?
Yeah.
But flossing, that gets into those tight spaces.
Oh, yeah.
Between the teeth and under the gum line. That's where the bacteria really love to hang out.
Oh, phew.
And if you don't clean those areas properly,
What happens?
hello gum disease.
Okay, so flossing isn't just about getting out those pesky popcorn kernels. It's about preventing something way worse.
I got it. And gum disease, if you let it go untreated, it can lead to some pretty serious stuff. Bone loss, loose teeth.
Oh, no.
It can even increase your risk for heart disease and stroke.
Really?
It's not something to mess around with.
Okay, I'm definitely feeling a lot more motivated to step up my flossing game. It's amazing how these little habits can have such a huge impact on our overall health.
Right.
Speaking of habits, I've heard some people say that just using mouthwash is good enough. Like, you can skip the floss if you use mouthwash. Is there any truth to that?
Well, mouthwash can be a nice little bonus to your routine,
Right.
but it shouldn't replace flossing altogether. Mouthwash is really good for freshening breath and killing some bacteria.
Yeah.
But it doesn't actually get rid of the plaque and food particles between your teeth the way that flossing does.
So it's about using the right tool for the right job.
Exactly.
Mouthwash for fresh breath and flossing for that deep clean.
Think of it this way. Brushing, it's like sweeping the floor.
Right.
Flossing is like vacuuming those corners and crevices. Mouthwash is like that nice air freshener at the end.
Ooh, I like that analogy.
Yeah.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive. We talked about that whole use it or lose it thing with dental benefits, the power of preventive care, the surprising connection between oral health and your overall well-being, and some strategies for really making the most of your insurance. Anything else we should be thinking about when it comes to our dental benefits?
Don't underestimate the power of communication.
Good one.
Don't be afraid to ask questions. Talk to your dentist, talk to your insurance provider, Even do a little research on your own.
Yeah.
Make sure you understand your benefits and how to use them.
Yeah, sometimes I think we hesitate to ask questions because we don't want to sound like we don't know what we're talking about.
Right.
But dental insurance can be confusing. It's really their job to walk us through it.
Absolutely. Knowledge is power, especially when it comes to your health. The more you know, the better decisions you can make about your care.
So well said. This has been a really eye-opening deep dive for me, and I hope it has been for all of our listeners too. Before we wrap things up, any final words of wisdom you'd like to share with everyone?
Your smile, it's an investment worth making. By making your oral health a priority, understanding your benefits, and taking care of your teeth, you're not just improving your smile, you're investing in your overall health and well-being.
I love that. And on that note, a big thank you to all of our listeners for joining us on this deep dive into the world of dental benefits. Remember, knowledge is power, so keep asking questions and take charge of your oral health.
And if you have any questions or thoughts you'd like to share, we'd love to hear from you.
Until next time, keep those smiles shining bright.